Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity for me to present my paper. My name is Rahmi Salviviani from School of Business and Management ITB Indonesia. This paper is about applying scenario planning for Alifa Kids Kindergarten to survive and thrive during COVID-19 crisis. There are several impacts of pandemic on education and SMEs, like 60 million students need to learn from home. At the same time, schools are closed to avoid the spreading of the virus. For the parents who have early age children, they decided to postpone school enrollment. Pandemic also impact to the small and medium enterprises with almost 57% went bankrupt. Alifa Kids as a business in early childhood education was also affected by the pandemic. Alifa Kids, established in 2007, has 19 branches in 4 cities, Bandung, Bekasi, Pekanbaru, Palembang. This is the 4 cities in Indonesia, serving early childhood education needs with a small school model that focuses on character building from an early age. Here is the business model canvas of Alifa Kids. All branches are located in urban areas with young family from middle income economy. Over early character building that refer to classic education. The school get income from monthly fee and yearly fee. Teacher and management team are the key resources of Alifa Kids. Key activities are teaching, parenting, research and people development, online and offline marketing activity. Cost structure, salary, operational costs, rent costs, marketing costs, maintenance costs, and research and people development costs. So the business issues that is pandemic has resulted in the closure of offline school activity since March 2020 has an impact in drastic decrease in the number of Alifa Kids students, with only 21.5% average income remaining per month compared to the previous year. As many as 50% of parents decided their children to study leave and hope that school can run normally again as the pandemic subsides. As many as 21% of parents cancel their children registration for the same reason. Alifa Kids only has 29% of students remaining, surviving with the willingness of parents to continue the online learning process. The pandemic causes customer or parent wait and see by delaying their children to school, although this is also concern of the government as a conveyed by Director of Indonesia Ministry of Education and Culture, Muhammad Hasbi, who warned of the long-term negative impact on children if the parents postpone their children's education. So that resulted in significant decrease in income. The following data shows that the income for first semester of 2020 academic years has decreased. Income in that semester was only 750 million rupiahs, while the previous year for the same semester was 3.5 billion rupiahs. So what are the scenarios for Alifa Kid can be applied to adapt with tuna condition due to pandemic situation, and what is adaptive planning for Alifa Kids to survive and thrive during the pandemic? In the study, author used scenario planning to answer research question. Scenario planning is a part of strategy planning which relates to the tools and technologies for managing the uncertainty of the future by examining the contextual and transactional environment carried out by learners. In this case, the Alifa Kids team, who are the member of the FGD forum in developing scenario planning. This research is conducted using Oxford scenario planning approach by Professor Ramirez and Wilkinson as the process of manufacturing the scenario, and using scenario approach by Garvin and Levesky with 5 steps to develop the scenario. The primary data is obtained from focus discussion group with Alifa Kids management team, and the secondary data is obtained from relevant written national and global news, education and small and medium enterprise journal, publication, and Alifa Kids internal record. Here is the conceptual framework. Tuna condition as a turbulent, unpredictable uncertainty can be seen in sudden and game-changing transformation that overwhelm the relation between an organization and parties with whom it regularly transacts business. Different actions are needed in this kind of situation. Conventional competitive strategy may not answer problem when the environment is in condition of high turbulence and uncertainty. SMEs is a party most affected in the event of economic crisis due to their limited financial strength. Although on the other hand, SMEs is a party that is also easy to adapt to changes. Scenario planning, like Paul Schumacher defines, as a disciplined method for imagining possible future in which organizational decision may be played out. According to the Rees, Hannes, and Sinha, in order to be successful, business must be adapt quickly when in an unpredictable environment. An adaptive approach is needed so that the business continue to grow and excel by means of continuously adjusting to the new opportunity and condition. So tuna conditions such as COVID-19 pandemic will make SMEs in survival condition. However, in the situation present both opportunity and challenges for SMEs. In order for SMEs to survive and thrive, an approach is needed that can be a tool so that SMEs can prepare everything for the future with high tuna condition approaching. Scenario planning allows SMEs to study the future and find alternatives for unpredictable future. This is because by developing scenario planning, SMEs are able to select early warning signal to make strategic changes and action needed according to the context of each SMEs. By following carefully selected early warning signal, SME can develop adaptive plans so that they can survive and thrive in tuna condition. The following is data of respondents who were involved in the develop scenario planning at Alifa Kids, and me myself as the author act as the facilitator who supervise and facilitate the session. These FGDs took place in 7 sessions, each of which lasted 3 hours, and the process of developed scenario planning is carried out with the Oxford scenario planning approach, which emphasizes the importance of reframing and reperceiving of the learner. In the scenario planning session at Alifa Kid, there was one-time iteration that finally changed what became critical uncertainty factor. So the key focal issues define that what is Alifa Kid's strategy to survive and thrive in the next 5 years due to COVID-19 pandemic. After examining the environment related to the key focal issues, the learner defines several driving forces as shown in this table. And then the learner continue with leveling the driving force and decided 2 of this factor as a critical uncertainty. The 2 critical uncertainty are pandemic subside and technology adoption willingness. Of the 2 critical uncertainties, a metric is created which finally shows 4 possible scenarios. The scenario are, the first is the lion in the jungle. Explain that the pandemic could end no later than the end of 2022, and the situation was supported by willingness of parents to adopt technology for their children for their early childhood learning process, so that Alifa Kid is able to survive and thrive during pandemic. In the scenario, Alifa Kids needed more competent teams in online teaching as is it today, rearrange the norm and standard operating procedure for daily teaching activities, and improve communication skill to the parents through online, which is certainly different from face-to-face communication. If the scenario occurs, it will be advantageous for Alifa Kids because gradually learning content that can be presented online has become available, which was prepared during the beginning of the pandemic. And the second scenario is the chameleon. explained that the pandemic will still last longer. However, this condition is not too challenging, and Alifa kids can adapt and innovate because parents are willing to adopt the technology in their children's education process. And the scenario, the preparation needs is almost similar with the first scenario. However, with the pandemic that is taking longer, innovation in fun online learning based on technology needs to be prepared. The option to build an rumah belajar Alifa Kids or home for learning partnership can provide solution to the needs of customers who still expect face-to-face learning process, but the spread of the virus can be anticipated by opening the learning area in the narrower radius so that if there is a transmission, it will be easier to tracing process. The challenge for the scenario is the team who manage the Alifa Kids partner later. Meanwhile, the needs of learning facilities can use the assets that already have by Alifa Kids. The third scenario, the camel in the desert, explained that even though the pandemic will end by 2022, Alifa Kids' condition is quite challenging because it is waiting for the pandemic subside with the situation of parents who are reluctant to adopt technology and waiting for face-to-face schooling. In the scenario, it is difficult for Alifa Kids to find a student will need to survive until the end of 2022. During this time, as is currently the case, parents invite a private tutor who can come to their homes to teach their children face-to-face. Alifa Kids can collaborate with this existing private tutor as a partner who prepare learning content by utilizing special learning modules and applications that can be accessed by the private tutors. And the last scenario is the SARC and rumors explain that the pandemic will last longer and parents refuse to adapt the technology. This is a very challenging condition, even though Alifa Kids has been developed and has the resources and experience in early childhood education, so that the cooperation with other parties is needed as an extension of Alifa Kids in providing early childhood education service, which can minimize the virus transmission. So Alifa Kids can build rumah belajar Alifa Kids or home for learning partnership, collaborate with private tutor, and develop special device for learning videos that do not require any internet access. This device may function as an educational game tool. And here is the early warning signal for all scenarios. Signal that must be paid attention to and regularly monitored by Alifa Kids in order to see which scenario might occur in the near future so that Alifa Kids can internally execute an adaptive plan in accordance with the direction of scenario. So with high turbulence and uncertainty, novelty, and ambiguity, in this case is COVID-19 pandemic crisis, Alifa Kids has 4 plausible scenarios that will be faced in the next 5 years, namely the lion in the jungle, the chameleon, the camel in the desert, and the shark and the remorse. To be able to survive and thrive due to pandemic condition, Alifa Kids has several plans that can be done in the next 5 years, namely prepare competent team to teach online, develop Rumah Belajar Alifa Kids partnership, develop special gadget for learning videos, over apps and program and modules for private tutors. And there's a recommendation that the adaptive plan that had been prepared need to be further studied and tested to find which one are worthy of being scaled up while still guided by company vision, mission, and values. Building partnership in form of Rumah Belajar Alifa Kids is one plan that deserves to be prepared carefully and needs to be realized that this program has the potential to change the Alifa Kids business model from previously business to customer, added into business to business. Increase internal capability and capacity. It takes a different internal management competencies than before and the involvement of qualified technology to develop early educational content that is able to provide educational service to the children during pandemic without losing their learning opportunity while remain protected from the danger of spread of COVID-19. That is the presentation from me, and thank you for the opportunity.